Simple summertime shrug. And you know what? It's super easy. Only 3 seams. You've got two seams right here and the seam that joins the 2 panels together. And look at that. You can't even see the seam in the back. I've seen a ton of them on Pinterest. I know that people want to make these. And being able to make it on our knitting machines in the panel mode, super quick and easy. $5? Gotta do it. And this time we're gonna do a shrug, and it is the easiest sweater you will ever make. It is just 2 rectangles stitched down the back as 1 seam, and then 2 little seams on the edges to make your sleeves. It's magic. It is absolute magic. It's really fun to be able to do things like this. Super simple, easy beginner project. Actually, this is the best project to learn how to make panels on. I'm going to use the Big Twist tweed yarn. I love this yarn. It looks a lot more upscale than just plain yarn because it's got all these little cute little neeps in it. And it doesn't seem to pill. I've made another sweater with this. It was my very first sweater here on this channel. So we're going to get started. I'm going to use the waste yarn method first, so that way I can have a really nice clean edge on both ends. I am doing approximately 24 inches wide or long for my panels, and then I will seam them together and have an almost 2 foot by 2 foot square-ish. It'll be a little bit more rectangular. My particular gauge with this yarn is approximately, oh wow, all those kind of words, is approximately 5 rows to the inch and 3.5 stitches to the inch. So 43 stitches is going to get me around 13 inches wide, and 120 rows is going to get me around 24 inches long. That's the goal. I'm going to make 2 of them, just straight knitting panel back and forth. We're going to long tail cast on with waste yarn, 43 stitches. So I want to go to needle number 43. When you're coming back across, you need to make sure that this needle is pulling down inside that loop. So you're just pulling down inside that loop right there, and it pops over. And then you can continue all the way across. Paying attention at this back edge. Give it a little extra tug when I'm coming to the end. Now I'm coming to the end right here. You go past, let that pull down, and as I'm going back, my hand automatically drops and just gives it that little extra tug so it keeps a nice, clean, straight edge. This is number 4. Now, when you get down here to that end, you need to make sure that your yarn has gone all the way down the needle. Otherwise, you'll end up with multiple stitches on your last piece right here. And I've given it that little extra tug. And now I'm going down to this end. Right here, pop that down, go to the end. Now I'm going to cut this yarn
and drop it inside. That's the end of the waste yarn. And I am also going to go ahead, and even though I'm on this end, I'm going to reset my counter. So I'm counting all of my rows. Now what I'm going to do is pull the sleeve off of my yarn. And I'm going to grab this, the tail right here, and I am going to be pulling the yarn off of the outside. The reason for doing that is multiple things. One, it doesn't tie up in knots the way your yarn that's compacted on the inside does. And two, your skein stays tidier because it's cleaning it up from the outside. My suggestion is find a pitcher or a box that is not too big so it doesn't go wandering around. I'm going to drop this into a pitcher, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to drop it into, this is a 1 gallon pitcher, and so the yarn is going to just come off just like that, really easy, and I don't have to worry about it. Once I've got my yarn in my pitcher down here on the floor by my feet, I want to put enough yarn here to use for my edging when I'm binding off. It's really fun to be able to do things like this. Super simple, easy beginner project. Actually, this is the best project to learn how to make panels on. How about that? Learn to make panels, and your knitting machine can make anything a regular set of knitting needles can make. I'd end up doing 130. I don't know. I'll see. So first off, I'm going to show you 2 or 3 more rows going back and forth with the main yarn, and then I'm going to cut out all of that time. I will tell you how long it took me to make one panel though, and then I will come back with both panels ready to be mattress stitched up one side, and then the ends bound off, because I've had people asking questions about how do you bind off panels with waste yarn. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and then we will stitch the part that makes the sleeve holes, and then it'll be done basically, unless you want to add some extra stitching to it. So let's go. I'm going to show you right here. We're coming back. We've got it pulled down. We're at the end of the line here. It's pulling down. As I'm coming back is when I pull my hand and then back to the edge. Coming back, I'm dropping my hand just like that, and now get back across. Dropped my hand, back, make sure that your stitch has dropped all the way down. So this is a mindful type of knitting project. You can listen to music, watch a show, listen to an audiobook, and just keep going. The only place you really have to pay attention is on the ends. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut to just finishing the first panel, this panel, and I'll tell you how long it took. All right, I went ahead and did 150 rounds. I wanted a little bit more depth. I mean, I'm not a very big person, so I'm guessing this is probably going to be like a small medium size. We'll see. We'll see. But I need to do my waste yarn cast off, and when you do the cast on, you can do just, 3 or 4 or 5 rows, and you don't have to worry about it. It's not going to come unraveled. But when you do your cast off, you are going to have live loops at the end. So you're going to want to do a deeper amount of waste yarn. All right, so now I've got the waste yarn on the cast off edge. I'm just going to crank this around and drop all the stitches. Sometimes that very last one doesn't want to pop off, so you just bring it off. And now I'm going to do another panel exactly the same. So one panel is 13 by 30. So when I have two panels, it will be almost 26 by 30. Perfect. That's what I'm going to do. Get the next panel done. I'm not going to record it, and I will be back here with the machine moved and the panels ready to be mattress stitched together. Okay, so I have both of the panels done. I'm not doing any blocking or anything like that for right now. What I'm going to do is mattress stitch this center seam. And just for reference, these two panels are 150 rows long. They are 43 needles across. They equal about 30 inches long, and each of the panels is about 13 inches deep, which makes 26 by 30. I think that's going to be perfect for my cocoon-like shrug. Just as a just for a point of reference, these two pieces left this much yarn. That's it. But I think I have enough yarn to sew it together and bind the ends and sew the armholes. But I don't have enough to do a stitched edging from this one skein. This was one skein. Now, I could use a contrasting yarn, or I do have a second skein of the same yarn, and I'm probably going to do a second skein of the same yarn to do a crocheted edge all the way around the neck and back and around the sleeve holes. So 2 skeins of this big twist tweed yarn. This is the white color, and the yarn itself 170 grams, 350 meters, or 382 yards, or 6 ounces. So I would buy 2. Your mileage may vary. You might be able to get it all done with 1. So, I am not going to stitch this very last selvage edge. I am going to move in so matching the direction of the V. You want your V's to be pointing the same direction. So the narrow point is pointing the same direction here. So that's what I'm going to do. And it took flipping these panels around a couple times to find that. And now I'm going to go along and, at least for the first few stitches, I'm going to make sure that I am keeping this lined up in the same row
to
with
be pointing
the
the
V
same
going
direction.
the same direction.
So
See,
the
right
narrow point
V is going
is pointing the same direction here.
I'm going to get this lined up, and then I will show you how to do super simple, easy mattress stitch that's going to give you an almost invisible seam line. I like to do this like every 10 or 15. I can move that one down a little. Just keeping those stitches lined up. Stay in the same columns. If you stay in the same columns, that's how you end up with that really pretty finished seam that doesn't stand out as an actual seam. And I am going to finish this off camera, but I want you to see how I get this going. One of the things that I do when I'm starting out here, make sure that you're in the same stitch. So right here, my yarn is coming out of a stitch, or you would tie it on. I'm going to go like this, and first thing I'm going to do for this one is just run my needle through both of those stitches. You do not tie this off at the end, because you want to be able to grab a hold of the end so that you can tighten up your stitches. So I have to get that little knot out of it though. So I want to leave an end here, okay? Mattress stitch. You go in here and you see where this bar is. I'm going to pick up this bar and pull my yarn through. I'm going to go to the exact other side, pick up that bar and pull it through. Then I'm going to come back to the front, next stitch up, and pull it through that one, and then go back. So just go back and forth, pick up the bar on the front, pick up the bar on the back. So pick up the bar on the front. The front is the piece that's next to me. The back is the piece that's away. Go in here, pick up the bar. Do not split your yarn. Make sure that you're not splitting those loops. It needs to be able to pull through smoothly. And I will get a few more stitches on here. Don't split your stitches. Back and forth. Ooh. I'm going to work my way all the way up to this blue stitch marker, and then we will pull it and we can see what it looks like. We'll pull the ends and see what it looks like. And it should look almost invisible. And up to here, right up to that blue one, and right to here. There we go. Alrighty, so now what we're going to do, first off, I'm going to show you what it looks like from the inside. Just grab a hold of the end and pull it like this. Now I can go ahead and pull in some of that extra yarn, as long as I leave it down here where I can still grab a hold of it and pull. See how that looks right here? On the other side, take that stitch marker off. On the other side right here, look at that. It gives you a lovely finished seam. By leaving enough yarn, you end up with it still being just as stretchy as the rest of the panel. So I'm going to continue on, finish stitching this all the way up, and I'll come back. All right, friends, I am so excited. Now look at this. I've got the stitching all done. I need to trim off those two threads, pieces of yarn right there. I've got the center seam completed. Now from the inside, you can see there is an actual seam with a little bit of a seam allowance. When you flip it to the outside, look at that. You can see a shadow of the seam because of what's on the inside, but this is perfect. That is why you take the time to line up those V's and make sure they're going the same direction when you are stitching. Isn't that cool? All right, now we're going to finish the ends. I've already finished one, and this was with a single crochet bind off. So this is all the yarn I have left. All right, that's it. This is all the yarn I have left from my one skein. First off, we need to just get this edge bound off. So find a piece of yarn that is long enough. I think that one's going to be long enough. I hate running out of yarn in the middle of a side. It's just one of those things. You know, sometimes you have little things that bother you, right? That's one of those little things that bothers me. Don't let your yarn get tied in a knot. Makes it harder to use. All right, so I've got, 10 grams of yarn here, 5 grams of yarn here, not very much. So I'm taking a number 4 millimeter crochet hook. You could use 3.5, you could use 5, whatever makes you happy. I'm going to join this little ball of leftover yarn, or pile of leftover yarn, by going through the very first loop of working yarn on my piece, and that is between these stacked up waste yarn pieces. Then I'm going to just make a slip knot. From the side closest to me, I'm putting the hook in so it comes out on the side away from me. I'm going to wrap over, and that basically, when I say wrap over, I'm just laying over. Pull up, lay the yarn over again, and pull through the 2 loops. Go under, pull through the working yarn, wrap over, pull through. And that is a single crochet bind off. Super easy, really quick. Has a stretch to it, which gives you a little wiggle room when you're making clothes or garments that you would be wearing. So I'm going to finish going all the way across, and then I will show you what the stitching looks like for the whole piece, and we will remove the waste yarn. Alrighty, so make sure that you get this very last stitch here. If you don't, it will make you cry. So get that last stitch. Sometimes it gets a little bit buried. Waste yarn removal complete. This big panel like this, you're going to fold your panel in half with the seam here on the outside. Match up the corners down here. If you've got extra yarn hanging out, like I do right here, I'm going to go ahead and just tie that. That will just get woven back in, so it's not going to be a problem. I'm going to do that to the other end also. Stitch markers. And I am going to do this underarm part right here. I think I'm going to go up about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 inches. So 6 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can, this is arbitrary. You can make this one, this measurement here, whatever makes sense to you. This just is what I'm guessing for myself. And then we are going to try on before we do the stitching, so that way we can test to see if there's enough armhole and to see if there's enough wraparound to the front. I'm going to do this on both sides. So this is going to show us what this is looking like. So we're going to turn it right side out. Then we're going to go to the center right here and we're going to pull it up. Like that. Look at that. We're making a warm and toasty cocoon or shrug. This just makes me think it's like a bowl of oatmeal. But this is our armhole. This would be the part that's laying in front. And around this whole edge is where you would be doing your extra crochet to finish it. Or you could knit another strip, a long strip that's like 10 wide, fold it, and then seam it to this edge all the way around to give you a binding. That's another way to finish it. I'm pretty excited
this
now.
This is basically a small medium, I think is what it would probably end up being. It's a shrug. It goes over your shoulders. And because it has armholes, you don't, it doesn't fall off. Now I'll do a better styling on it. This is not finished yet, but look, it comes down. If you wanted this to be bigger, my recommendation is make it longer. And you might need to do 3 panels to give you more length. I am only 5'2". This is 2 panels, so that's what it looks like up and back. And again, this is a test fit. I think that the armhole is a good size. So doing a 6-inch seam is going to be perfect.
Right side or inside out again. I'm going to just sew those seams. And this is just going to be, you could crochet it together, or you could do it like a modified mattress stitch. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Let's see. Yes, we do have enough yarn. I'm just going to start stitching this, and then I'm going to finish it. I'll show it to you. So I've got that end tied together, and I am just going to go to the back side of the loop of the crochet. So right here, this is the top one and this is the top one. And I'm just going to pick up that top loop right there, the top of that and the top of the one behind it. Just match those up. I think that'll make a pretty edge. See, right here. So I'm picking up the top loop and the top of the loop and the top of the loop. This is of the crocheted edge. And then I'm going to pick up the top and the top. And I'm going back and forth. I'm not whipping over. So I'm going back and forth through this one, this way, and then come from the back one to the front ones, this way. Go through the top this way. This way your stitches are matched up and you don't end up with a crooked edge. I get down here to the last stitch, which is it's in the underarm or in the armhole space. I am going to do a couple stitches whipping over, going back, but I'm only doing it on those top stitches that are on the inside. I'm not going through to the outside. See, you can't see my needle. It's not going across those stitches. And now we'll see what this looks like and if I like that stitching. Take that one off. Because if you don't like it, you can always take it out. And you know what? I'm not really a big fan. So like I said, this is a process of figuring out what makes sense to you. So I joined it on the backs of those loops, or tops of those loops. And I think I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to come through. And I'm going to pick up a loop and pick up the loop. Pick up a loop and pick up a loop. Basically joining them. Yeah, I like that. I like the bit more finished look that that's getting. Pick up the loop. Pick up the loop. Yep. So see, sometimes you have to play with it to figure out what you're going to do. So I'm just figuring it out as I go along. I'm going to finish this. I'll be back.
I am really excited. Now, there's a dog barking and howling outside. I don't know if you're going to hear it or not, but oh my gosh, this poor little puppy, he needs to go inside. Come on, people. Anyway, I got it done. So this summertime camping shrug, office shrug, you need that little bit of, warm on your shoulders. So look at that. That's how it fits. The front seams, like this, turned out looking really good. Fits around the back. It's not going to fall off. It's not going to fall off. That is the thing. It really makes me happy here. So, perfect for summertime, toss on over a dress that you don't want to cover up the whole dress, but your shoulders, maybe you don't like showing your shoulders. Little shrug. This just happened to be the Big Twist yarn. It was inexpensive. I got it on sale, so the shrug cost me $5 and some time. $5 and some time, and you can have something that you wear. And now the total amount of time that I spent on this was about 3 hours. The knitting and the stitching. I haven't done any binding edge or anything like that. I don't think I'm going to. What do you think? Would you make one? If you enjoyed this video, please click that like button, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, share with me on social media, and let me know if you want to see more. Do you want to see sleeves being put on something like this? Do you want to see me make one with 2 skeins of yarn so that it's really big and drapey? Leave me a comment in the comment section below the video. And remember, go out, do something creative, take care of yourself, and be kind.